Okay, I'm going to put you over here. Thank you, dear. Oh, thank you for your work on the midterms during week 4. Hopefully by the time that you see this video, the points and commentary will be up for your midterms. If not, stay tuned. I hope to have them done before the end of the day when I post this up. For week 5, we're talking about the philosophy of religion. And in Popkin, be aware that the philosophy of religion is not the same as religion itself. Philosophy of religion is not Christianity or Judaism or Islam or Buddhism or Hinduism or Taoism or any of the other religions. In many ways, philosophy of religion is both underneath as a foundation and over the top as an analysis of religion. For example, you can talk about whether or not God exists, regardless of whether you're a Christian or a Jew or a Hindu or a Muslim or a Buddhist or any other adherent of any faith. What you'll watch for in looking at things is to see whether or not what you are arguing makes sense from a rational standpoint. And if you draw in specifics from particular religions, you need to analyze what and why you're doing that. That's what philosophy is, and that's one of the things that makes philosophy of religion separate from theology. Theology starts from a standpoint of faith, and you believe something, and then you go from there. Whereas philosophy of religion necessarily starts from a point of not necessarily believing in any particular thing, because rationality may lead you to different conclusions. If your philosophy of religion contradicts your beliefs, then you need to figure out why. And this is something that is a part of seminary training, something that's part of philosophical training, part of a lot of things. If you just have blind faith and don't know why, then that's really not doing you a lot of good if you happen to have blind faith in the wrong thing. So it's usually better to have a more deliberate kind of understanding. Some of the things that you'll see in the chapter this week involve words like the cosmological argument or the ontological argument. There are different classic arguments for whether or not God exists, and especially in the medieval time of the Christian church, theologians used to try to employ these to convince people. The only thing is, in the medieval era, most people were already part of the church, so they didn't really need convincing. A lot of these arguments fall short in different ways. If they were completely convincing, there'd be no need for an element of faith left in religious ideas anyway. So for the most part, they were engaging in intellectual exercises to stretch their philosophical muscles, but what exactly they were hoping to achieve, we're not sure. The same on the other side. People who try to argue that God doesn't exist fall into various kinds of reasoning problems. Often you cannot disprove a negative logically. And if you're trying to argue that something doesn't exist due to lack of evidence, then that becomes a problem as well. So keep these things in mind as you're looking at the problem of religion, the philosophy of religion, and how these things work. I've invited you in the discussion board to also talk about some of your own personal religious ideas, but I would appreciate it if you concentrated on things that relate to the philosophical ideas. Why do you believe? Not just what you believe, but why do you believe it? Because that gets us into more philosophical territory. I invite you also to go outside of the book and see what your own religious tradition may hold as philosophical truth. In Christianity, that can lead you in a lot of different directions. For nearly the first 1,000 years, Plato was the primary philosopher, and then for a time thereafter, Aristotle was the primary philosopher. And after that, we have a mixture between Plato and Aristotle, usually through other key figures, such as Plotinus and Augustine and Aquinas and others. And that continues on to this day, with a back and forth between different ideas. I look forward to seeing what you have to say on the boards.